Hey everybody, it's Cauliflower here. I am bringing you another character ranking for Battleborn. Today we are focusing on the character Ghalt, and my goodness is Ghalt broken. I hate playing games with Ghalt. There's 4 characters that I never play in games anymore because they're just too overpowered. And that's Benedict, Orendi, Ghalt, and Toby. I feel like if you're good, you really need to quit playing these guys because it just makes it stupid for everyone who plays. Ghalt is by far the most overpowered character in the game. I know before I said it might be Orendi, but it can't be Orendi simply because what makes Orendi the most powerful is her ultimate, and her ultimate does need nerfed, that's true, but Galt's, what makes Ghalt so powerful is his hook, and his hook comes back like every 12 seconds, and it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my ranking for Ghalt. If you're new to Battleborn and you don't know what you're doing, don't feel bad playing Ghalt. Go ahead and play him. But if you know what you're doing, and you'll know when you know what you're doing with Ghalt because you'll just wreck everybody, you should really get off Ghalt if you know what you're doing because it's a real dickhead move to say the least. So let's go ahead and look at the total ranking I give him. And remember, these rankings that I give are out of 10. 10 is a maximum. Anything above that means it's broken, and I don't know why Gearbox hasn't changed some of this stuff. I'll go ahead and tell you what I think should be done to Ghalt in order to make him a character that doesn't break the game. I doubt Gearbox will do anything because they have trouble with basic mathematics, and they don't really seem to understand which characters are overpowered and underpowered, as evidenced by the most recent winter update when Orendi was already one of the most powerful characters and they buffed her real hard. So I don't know why they do what they do. They're just a bunch of idiots sometimes who like to lose a bunch of money. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about Ghalt here. So for the composite rank, I give him a 12 out of 10. He's just broken. That's just the way it is. Skill floor is 7. Skill ceiling is 10. When you play Ghalt, you should start out pretty good. The only thing that he has that makes him kind of weak is he's a big target, so just always make sure you're kind of staying back. That's really the only thing you have to make sure you do as Ghalt. If you start rushing, you're not going to make use of any of his skills. He does best when he's behind his own teams or behind his own allies. So just make sure you're kind of behind the battle lines just a little bit. Not much at all, because obviously you have a shotgun, but a shotgun does have some pretty good range. For his healing and regen, I gave him a 2, and you might be wondering, why are you giving him any points at all? He has no health regen. It's true he has no health regen, but you'll get a level up that'll increase his shield and shield recharge rate, and I consider that part of healing and regen, so I'm giving him a 2 there. His attack is a 10. He shoots with a shotgun. Now, the shotgun is actually very good from mid-range. This Battleborn is one of the only games where they gave a character a shotgun that works at mid-range. There's a reason that they don't do that in video games, even though a lot of people will make jokes about it because it's not realistic, and it's true it's not realistic, but the reason that they make it so that it's not realistic is so you can't just walk around with a shotgun and kill absolutely everything that moves. But in Battleborn, if you want to kill everything that moves, be Ghalt and use his shotgun because it's very good from mid-range. Obviously, you can't hit very small enemies like a Thorn from mid-range, but if there's a Montana halfway across the map, you'll put good damage into him. From almost any distance. It's kind of ridiculous. Now his toughness is a 4. He's not a quick character, and he's a big target, but he has a pretty large shield. So the toughness is basically all based around his shield and his shield recharge rate. His movement is a 5. He's not very fast. So there's not a whole lot of points to give him there. But now we get into the fun stuff with him. His Battleborn damage, I give him a 9. Ghalt has one of the highest damage outputs in the game, and he does a huge amount of damage to Battleborn. The reason it's not a 10 is because his scrap trap isn't the greatest for doing damage to Battleborn. His chain hook will do a ton of damage to Battleborn after you level it up. I think you can do almost 500 damage just from landing a hook on him. And then obviously his shotgun just melts people. So for Battleborn damage, I'm giving him a 9. Minion damage, I give him an 8. Everyone likes to think that Ghalt is only good for Battleborn, but the scrap traps are used primarily against minions. And if you use scrap traps against minions, you'll notice that because it slows them, you'll hit the entire minion wave with all the damage of a scrap trap, and so that really can add up. But However, you don't want to hit people with his hook, or you don't want to hit minions with his hook. So I'm only giving him an 8 on that, even though he does significant damage to minions. His primary attack is a shotgun. I give him a full 10 on that. Like I said, it's a shotgun, but it has ridiculously long range. Why on earth Battleborn decided, or why on earth Gearbox decided that they were going to make a shotgun but give it huge range, I don't know. That's beyond me. The secondary attack, that's just when he aims in with the shotgun. This helps him use it at a farther range, and you can be more accurate with it. So it's still a 10. It doesn't. It's not another attack. It's just a different way to use his shotgun. So then now we get into his skills. His scrap trap, I give him a 7. Now the only reason that I give it a 7 is because when you throw the scrap trap on the ground, people can shoot it. So if you ever see one of Galt's scrap traps on the ground, the first thing you should do is take it out, because if you get caught in it, you're going to have a lot of trouble. It's actually a very good skill. It's great against minions. It's a solid 7. You could even potentially give it an 8. But I just went with the 7 here because a lot of times you can try and avoid it if you're playing against a Galt. Below the scrap trap is the hook. Now the hook is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen in my life. I don't know why it's in here the way that it is. This hook can get shot, like it shoots halfway across the map, and you pull enemies towards you. Now, a lot of people will complain about hooks in different games, like Overwatch. Roadhog has a hook, and if you watch Overwatch at the pro level, Roadhog is in there all the time just because of his hook, and if he hooks somebody, you're going to basically get a kill. Well, Battleborn's kind of like Overwatch except with more health, but if you hook someone with Galt's hook and you level it up to do damage, they'll get dealt 500 damage by the hook alone, and they can get shot the entire time they're getting pulled in by the hook, and there's no defense against it. So generally speaking, without any team help, a good Galt will put 1,000 damage on the person he hooks before they get to him. And then that person still has to run away. And if he's got team helping him out, they're going to get absolutely crushed. And like I said, this hook is a skill. It comes back like every 10 to 12 seconds. I don't know the exact cooldown off the top of my head, but it comes back super fast. And if he lands it on somebody, he should probably get a kill, and if he doesn't get a kill on them, then that's his fault, and that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So the hook is a 15. I honestly think that the hook should do 0 damage, and its length should be put in half. I also think that they should reduce the range on the shotgun by at least by half. It's absolutely ridiculous, but the hook is the most insane skill I've ever seen in my life. You could even make his hook an ultimate, and he would still be one of the best characters in the game. That hook is just stupid good. I don't know why they leave it the way that it is. Galt breaks the game if you play him competitively. It's just so stupid playing with him. And then underneath his hook is his dual wield. Now the dual wield with Galt, a lot of times I don't even use it because he does so much damage with his shotgun anyway. What's the point of having 2 shotguns out there? The main reason I don't use it is because when you dual wield, you can't hook. And the hook is what makes him stupid, ridiculously good. So his dual wield's pretty good, but his shotgun's probably better on its own, and you can use your other skills when you don't use his dual wield, so I wouldn't really say it's all that great. So I only give his dual wield an 8, and then for early game with Galt, I give him a 10. He starts out with his hook, and the hook is the thing that makes him ridiculously good. Late game, the hook will do 500 damage, and then obviously you get all of his upgrades, so I give him a 12. And then finally is just his discipline. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there's only one rule when you play a Galt, and that is stay a little bit behind your team, because you're going to use your hook to pull them back to you behind your team's lines, so that whoever gets hooked gets absolutely crushed. So like I said, Galt really needs to get nerfed here, and it's just his hook and the damage on his shotgun. It would literally be a 2-second fix for Gearbox. I can almost guarantee you they won't do it, just because they've really had trouble on figuring out how to make the characters equal, and balancing characters is not something that they're good at, so I doubt that we'll see any sort of serious nerfing to Galt, but as it stands right now, Galt is absolutely the best character in the game.